Running a business changed my life, not in the way social media puts it. And from the experience I've gotten from my company in building needs so far, I've made it out in bullet points. So the purpose of making this video is for someone out there that may be undergoing issues or that may be thinking to run a business. I've had sleepless nights, I've had money issues, family issues, headaches. I've had times where I don't know where the next hit was going to come from, or I don't know where the next solution was going to come from. The lessons that I believe are some of the biggest things to pick out from running a small business, especially of my sort, for those that may be interested. So the first one is cash flow is more important than profit. When I started out news, I was very geared towards profit. If you buy X and you sell 2X or you sell 3X, what really matters is that you make an X amount of figure, more than what you've invested or more than what you actually paid for from the customer. But that isn't always the case. There are times when you would profit in a business and you would make money, yet there is no cash to expense some things that need to go out, and that could hurt the business. Cash flow is the most important. So you can have stock, right? But stock may not sell. You can have the entire business as a retail business running an operation. You can have stock, but it wouldn't just sell. And if you can find a way to sell it, it's just going to be staying there. You can't convert it to cash. You can't convert it to anything, and it's not profit. It's loss with time. You can also have profit, but the profit from what you've sold or the gross profit you've gotten can do almost nothing, or it's just too little for the expenses that are needed. But however, if you have cash flow, if you have actual cash in your bank account, in your business bank account, that can be used to buy stock, that can be used to buy anything that could make a profit. So very important lesson that I learned is that no matter how thriving a business is, you always need to leave money aside, because if you have that extra cash flow, if it's by an investment or if it's by savings or if it's just pure cash flow from accumulated business operations, that can come in handy whenever you need it in the business. The next point is never grow faster than your system. There are many systems that make up a business when you're running it. I'm going to take the business I currently have, for example, which is a grocery business. We've got operations, we've got staffing, which you need to consider. You've got logistics, which you need to consider. You've got suppliers, which you need to consider. You've got investors in some cases, which you'd need to consider. And most of the time, you've also got expenses. Actually, all of the time, you've got other expenses, which you'd need to consider. Growing faster than your system just basically means you're putting unnecessary pressure on any one of these. If, for example, you know that what your stock level can handle is 2 staff and what your footfall can handle is 3 staff, don't overshoot and say, oh, you know what, you're going to overwork all the staffs because you expect that more footfall will come. That's not how it works. You need to backwork the operation. The way it works is everything is just like connecting system, and there is no way you can take out one bit of it and just assume that, okay, because you're taking out this one bit of it, every other thing is going to fall in line. No. So everything drags each other together, right? It's like you've got 5 things joined together. You know, when you move the other ones will react in a particular way to that movement. So you need to equip all the systems. Before you make any decision, you need to have a broad overview of all the systems in place to make sure that you're not hurting the business, because if you move inventory too fast, then you're going to be short-staffed because there won't be enough staff to actually dispense this inventory. If you move the timing of the operation too fast, then again, there's going to be short-staffed. Then if you expand the staff too fast, then you're going to have lower cash flow issues because you're going to be paying too many staffs, and basically there is not going to be enough money to buy inventory. Then if you think that, okay, the problem is actually expanding to a different location or probably expanding to get something new, then what's then going to happen is that all of the expenses that were needed for that expense or the cash flow is going to come suffering later down the line. Now, the third lesson is read through every lease and contract properly. I cannot overemphasize this. In a business, when you're running it, every lease is important. The way I now see contracts when I go through them, be it a friendly contract, be it a gentleman contract, be it a lease agreement, be it a lawyer's contract, any form of contract, see it as someone holding a gun behind your neck. That's the best way to say it. When you read a contract that way, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you're not taking any line for granted, because you have to go past the way where it's something that you just need to do because everyone does, to this could change my life. There is not less than 10 instances just in the 4 years of my business where I realized that just sluggishly reading through a contract, I hurt myself. And what I really advise to a lot of people is that if you know that you're going to be dealing with contracts, which is inevitable for any kind of business in this world, at least in the UK. You want to make sure you get legal advice. If it's someone that is on a payroll, may not be paid much, just something, have a negotiation with them. You're a small business, you're looking to start this thing, but you would need legal advice or a brief run through. You know, someone professionally that can run through the documents. That may not be your stronghold. So someone that can run through the processes for you, let you know spot on anything that you may have missed. It's very much likely that you would be able to pick loopholes. You'll be able to pick things that may be against your favor. So it's like you're hurting yourself or you're shooting yourself on the foot whenever you're reading a contract and you know that you're not paying attention to that contract. The first thing I would say I've learned in the last couple of years is avoid the temptation to be omnipresent. What I just basically mean is, as a owner of a business, as a young business that basically you've done the planning, you've done the financing, you've done the building, you've done the growing, you've done the staffing, you've done the motivation. There's something that happens. You get so engrossed in everything and you know everything that is happening that you can't even do anything so well. So what you want to start doing is you want to make sure that you are confident enough to employ people better than you. There's no shame as a business owner to find people you know that they are better than you in this role, you know, because it's only by people that are better than you and that are trustworthy that you're going to be able to help you and the business. They can see the business as their own and they can grow with you. Now you find these people, you train them if you can, they get better than you and they do better. However, if you do not find such people, you're constrained with making the same mistake over and over and over again, thereby hurting the business. Now, the advantages of finding people like this is that you can then focus on the next thing that really needs your attention. And again, the best you can afford from your business expense to get someone in that would be doing the work that you need to do and you know you're not doing properly, then you get it. And that way it eliminates or removes another burden from you. Now, the fifth one is pride. Pride can delay solutions. Or in this situation, I wouldn't say humility is the opposite of the pride I'm talking about. I would say the willingness to listen maybe would be the opposite of the pride I'm talking about. Don't get stuck in discussing solutions that are in your favor at every business conversation that you have, or at every time you know that there is a need for a conversation. What really matters is do not shoot yourself on the foot and make sure that the business best interest is at heart. But do not go over who is right or wrong all the time. In fact, none of the time, because who is right or wrong does not bring profit to the business, it delays the business, it makes it spend longer achieving things that could have been achieved faster, and it grows the ego of both parties. So say, for example, I've got a supplier, or I've got a customer, or I've got contract partners, and they're arguing over a particular point, maybe a goods. I just use a random example. Maybe a goods. The back and forth is that the goods is this centimeters, and you're thinking, you know that the goods is that centimeters. Don't argue, because the more you argue, that could be a deal that could fail through, that could lose your business revenue. That could be a deal that might not fail through in the end. Regardless of who was the right person, you've lost hours and you've lost days discussing the contract you'd have won earlier and moved on to the next. So in such an argument, there is no win-win. It's always both losers. Even the person that was right technically and mathematically and arithmetically and logically ends up being wrong because they've spent time on something that they shouldn't have spent the time on to start with. So pride is a very, very important issue to look out for business owners or business founders. One other thing it delays is negotiation, right? Like I've just said earlier, like by the time, let's say you are also wrong, you finally come to terms that, okay, you're wrong here, but time has gone, basically would not be added for anyone at the end of the day. Now,